What's going on, everybody? Steel Jedi here, and I'm doing a mock draft today using FanSpeak's big board. I just wanted to talk through this. So I use this site called FanSpeak on the Clock. It is a fantastic site for mock drafts, and what I'm doing right now is I'm just looking to see who's being taken when in the first round, and at this point, we have a couple of needs that we need to address. Quarterback could be one, but to me, it's tight end, linebacker, safety, quarterback. We have a lot we need to address here. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going through the tight ends and the safeties, and eventually I'm going to pick Mark Andrews from Oklahoma. I just think he's probably going to be the next Gronk, in my opinion, and we need a guy like him on our roster if we are going to try and compete with New England every year. He is a kind of player who could stretch the middle of the field. He left Oklahoma with over 1,600 receiving yards, and that's without these next two games. So if he wins in this semifinal game, he'll move on to the championship. So he has at most 2 more games left. And then he has the Senior Bowl, which I think he hasn't been invited to. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking at all the quarterbacks. Because if Mason Rudolph is available round 2, guys, which I doubt he would be, we need to pick him up. Because then at that point, we can finally get rid of Landry Jones. And we can move on with Dobbs and Rudolph, depending on who we think is the future and who would be a great backup. And in round 2, you're not really reaching on a guy like Mason Rudolph. Okay, so now I'm trying to see what safeties are available, see what linebackers are available. I mean, I do think Ryan Shazier is an incredible football player, and there's a chance that he's coming back. So this is exactly why I'm not going to go linebacker in the first 3 rounds. You'll see who I pick. To me, I think safety is a bigger need right now, and so I've selected Armani Watts from Texas A&M. Complete ball hawk, probably one of the most underrated safeties in this year's draft class. Perfect fit in Pittsburgh. Okay, so I'm moving on to round 4, in which we do not have a pick in the 4th round, although I do think that we could get a 4th round pick from the Miami Dolphins for the Lawrence Timmons trade. I think he's worth a 4th round pick. So this may end up being the round then that we go after a linebacker. But you'll see what happens here. 4th round goes through. And then we move on to the 5th round, where we have 3 picks in the 5th round. So we are at pick 37 now. Now we're switching over to the 5th round now. And so now what I'm doing is I'm looking at the linebackers. And I do believe that Jerome Baker, Cameron Smith, Josie Jewell could be options. But I'm actually going to go with a little bit of a reach here. Okay, I'm going to go Rashaan Evans from Alabama. I know we haven't drafted an Alabama player since 1998, but he is probably the closest we'll get to a Ryan Shazier. With his size, he actually has better size than Ryan Shazier, but he's pretty fast as well, and he was a huge aspect of that Alabama defense, in which he was a very versatile player that played outside, played inside. Now what I'm doing is, and I don't know why, but I do not see Marcell Ateman on this list. I think Marcell Ateman is one of the most underrated wide receivers in this year's draft class, and I think if we do get Mason Rudolph in round 2, now, because what I'm doing right now is I'm going through the recent picks to see if anybody picked him up. I don't see him being picked. If you guys do, point it out. But I do think at this point we go with Marcell Ateman. He should be there in round 5. He's so underrated. But yet again, who I pick is not going to last to the 5th round. He's a 2nd round talent all day, and probably even late 1st, depending on how many wide receivers are taken. Here I'm going to end up taking Auden Tate. I'm still scrolling through to the round 2 because I don't think he would be up in round 2, but, it is what it is. So I end up picking Auden Tate. He's a wide receiver from Florida State. There's no way that he's going to be there. But I was trying to go with the guy who was most comparable to Marcel Aitman. And I think if you pair Marcel Aitman and Mason Rudolph back up, that would be quite deadly on this offense. So I'm looking through Quadri for the returning game. I'm looking through Dante Pettis for the return game. Ended up selecting on tape. But that pick should be Marcel Aitman from Oklahoma State. And now we have one more pick two more picks, sorry. We have 2 picks in the 7th round. So round 6 is going to simulate. We don't have any picks in round 6. And guys, I know what you're thinking. Waiting to round 5 to get a linebacker. I know that might sound crazy. But when a guy like Rashaan Evans, is going to drop to round 5, why not try and fix the rest of your team with the rest of your picks? So here I'm just waiting till round 7 comes around. In round 7, I believe I take Darius Phillips first. I think, yeah. I take Darius Phillips here from Western Michigan. He's probably the best corner in the MAC conference right now, and he was an explosive returner for Western Michigan while in his time there. And he wasn't getting a lot of attention because of the fact that Corey Davis in last year's draft was getting all the attention from Western Michigan. Darius Phillips is an incredible corner that would be a perfect slot/dime backup for Hilton and Sutton. And now what I'm doing is, listen, we need safety depth. I don't think we should keep Robert Golden. So here I end up taking Jamar Summers, who used to be a corner at UConn and is now a safety. So let me know what you guys think down below. That's my mock draft, and we'll talk a little bit about it later.